Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on Violet and Scarlet so far?
I mean, it's fine right now. I haven't experienced like those like major bugs. I'm not gonna pretend they don't exist, but I haven't gotten around to it today because I kind of started my workouts kind of late and kind of bummed that I finished so late. So it's like kind
Yeah,
of killed
bro.
my.
Like, I honestly got like really kind of like worried earlier about like trying to send you like articles from like Kotaku.com before because I noticed that like there's a lot of discourse and like conversation happening right about the game. I don't know
Dude, do
whether
you
that.
think I'm not aware? People won't shut up about the game.
Well, dude, more people than you think are playing the game right now.
Yeah, because they bought it anyway.
Yeah, you predicted that before, but it kind of makes sense, no? Because like there's more Pokemon fans out there than we.
Yeah.
I feel like people are gonna notice this like transition in the video. What I'm gonna do is like when the video for this eventually comes out, I'm gonna add like a little transition part where like people notice that like for some reason now I'm wearing a turtleneck and I look like Steve Jobs. I want to keep that whole idea that it's like one particular night where we're just talking about shit like that, just like because I was thinking about like freaking editing the video where like the part where I start telling you like
Hopefully, we don't have a repeat of last time.
yeah, I mean like I had to abruptly end it because honestly like for health reasons I was like yeah no I'm just gonna be hiccuping the whole time in the video and knowing myself knowing that I'm like a perfectionist when it comes to like making sure that people hear the video without any annoying noises or like anything like getting in the way of the quality of like the video just like getting in the way. I'm probably just gonna
All right.
because knowing me like if I'm gonna play like the video on like a soundbar or something, I don't want to have like random noises just being like turning the thing into like an ASMR video. But like, yeah, I understand having the apprehensions about random stuff showing video. But other than that, like, yo, okay, so tell me about like the characters that you've run in the game so far. Like, tell me your thoughts about them.
Well, Arvin kind of gives me the like the I don't know, it's difficult to describe him.
Be like one of those
Little
no
hot headed,
nonsense principal.
but a little hot headed, but he might be something a little more since he seems to know what Koraidon is. Because we actually learned the name of the Pokemon from him.
Oh, wait, is that a spoiler of some sort? Like, I don't
How
want
many
people like.
fucking times do I have to keep telling you this is the beginning of the game?
Yeah, but you gotta remember there are people that haven't even gotten like 1 hour into the game that are watching this video. So I gotta have like big text on the side that says Pokemon Violet and Scarlet spoilers on the video, so that when they watch the video, they have, hey, I should probably watch this later when I play the game.
Call it Pokemon Scarlet and Violet spoilers for people with one brain cell.
I mean, the game literally just came out. So, like, if you haven't, like, finished playing the game within, like, the past 3 days, you're considered, like, super ancient by internet standards. But I understand. Yeah, dude. So, like, other than that, I guess turning this into, like, a Violet Scarlet spoiler cast.
Well, I mean, I only just beat the first gym, so it's nothing really major happening so far.
Well, you mind telling us more or less about your journey playing through the game so far? I'm pretty sure
Well,
there's people out there that are gonna be like, "Yo, so what's it like playing the game?" Because I want to buy it, but I want someone to tell me an interesting enough like design or a story that can like sell the game to me.
I mean, it's up to them if they want to buy it or not. I haven't experienced much of like the bugs that everyone seems to be experiencing, save for a little camera wonk. But I wouldn't say the performance is good, but it's for me. It hasn't gotten like crazy, if I can say.
Yeah, because like to a lot
It's
of
just,
people, their Switch is just like screaming in agony trying to run the game. But I can imagine that for a console that's already had like 5+ years to
okay,
like
but
create. Yeah.
Okay, but look, for a counter argument, the game also runs games like Xenoblade, Persona Royal, and friggin' Bayonetta 3, which, granted, like, Xenoblade and Bayonetta have some, like, frame rate issues, but they can work on the Switch. It's just that the game needed to be, like, patched up.
So you predict there's gonna be like a day 7 patch at some point or another? Because I would love for a game like this to
Oh,
be
there's
playing
gonna
at
be
like
oh,
60 frames
there's
at some
for
point.
certain there's for certain gonna be a patch. I'm certain of that. The thing is what I'm trying to make it is like people like if people are gonna make this like, oh, Nintendo can't do software is outdated. They need to become a third party company and all that shit. Or like they're gonna. You can argue that some of it's a hardware issue, but you can look at games that came out, so it's more on Game Freak not like either just rushing this out or not seeing this thing becoming an issue.
I mean, like, to play devil's advocate, from according to some people, they feel like Pokemon Arceus was rushed a tad bit. Because I know they were working on DLC for, I believe, Sword and Shield earlier, no? Before they started
Yeah.
shifting their entire focus. And some people feel like maybe this game should have had, like, a couple more months to, like, fester and, like, get certain
Okay, but
kinks ironed out before that.
and I'm not gonna deny that, but the issue is less on like Game Freak has their issues, but it's less on them and more the fact that like they gotta keep this going because the games have to go out first, then the merchandise, then the trading card game, and then all the spin-offs, and then whatever fucking like animation projects they have to do. They gotta get everything going for like the Pokemon machine, I guess you can call it. The
Yeah.
because like right now, I mean, the game's out right now. They could be working on a patch along with the DLC that has been hinted already.
I mean, there's people that are already making jokes talking about, like, oh, where did I put my PS2? Why is it that, like, certain parts of the game need to load to a certain extent that, like, it looks like something out of, like, a scene of a game that requires less intensive frame rates on a computer thing? But, like, yeah, I understand that, like, hey, it's a Switch. You're not exactly gonna have something like God of War Ragnarok running on that.
But as I said before, games like Xenoblade, Bayonetta 3, and to a lesser extent, you got like Smash Brothers. Look, you can say whatever about the hardware. It's these games can run on the Switch. So it's if you want to complain about how the Nintendo Switch's hardware is, go ahead. But you can't make an excuse for the stuff that's going on right now because it's clearly not on the Switch's hardware. It's on Game Freak.
Yes, I
And the
absolutely
problem
agree.
with these articles is that they're making it a Nintendo issue. Because I even read one that is like suggesting, oh, this wouldn't happen if it was on another platform, and they should really make a Nintendo Switch Pro. And like, I'm just thinking here, is like, okay, it's like
It's been
if you just
5 years, Diego. I understand
it's
how
like
you
if you
feel,
just
but
want to
like,
bitch that Nintendo's not interested in making like a Nintendo Switch Pro, then fine, like do that instead of like using Pokemon as a mouthpiece. Because if you want to actually complain about the performance, do that instead of saying, I wonder what would happen if Nintendo made a Switch Pro. And the LED Switch pretty much killed the theory. And it's just so weird that like Nintendo fans are just like a whole different beast. Like for lack of a better term, they're so fucking autistic. And it's like, what's it called?
well,
Like, you see how
just
Smash
for
players.
just for qualification purposes, well, not qualification, but for like context, when you say the word autistic, you're not like saying it in a diss type of way.
No.
Specifically mentioning like the whole idea that like it's specifically geared toward a super niche group of people that would accept changes of a certain caliber. Just to like save face. I'm not saying it in
Yeah, like,
I don't want
yeah,
no static
exactly.
from the community. We love people of like LGBTQ plus and people that are like alternative lifestyles. We're not trying to make
Get
fun
to
of
the
anybody
point.
at all. I'm not trying to get demonetized, bro. But like, yeah, go off, go ahead.
People were hyping up the Switch Pros finally gonna happen, and then they announced the LED, and they shit themselves because they didn't get what they were never promised. And goes back to the issue I was talking about. Nintendo fans always seem to have this thing where they hype themselves up for something that's never promised to them. And when it doesn't happen, they get more mad than they should. Nintendo make a Nintendo Switch Pro? I don't know. I'm not them. And honestly, where I am right now, I don't know if I can buy another console because my Switch has been running pretty fine. I mean, it's like, I don't even know how many years old. When did some Nintendo Switch come out again?
It came out back in 2015.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, bro, like, you have dude, the Switch is older than we think. It's been running for, like, 6+ years at this point.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like, so that's the thing, because, like, there's certain fans that, I don't want to, like, draw a line on anybody like that, but, like, there are certain fans that think, that, like, oh, this is better than nothing, so we just gotta deal with it. And fuck anybody that tries to offer constructive criticism on that situation. And I don't like that idea personally. Because it's like we could potentially like inspire or like try to push Nintendo. They definitely have the money to do so. But like I feel like personally we should demand more from the video games that we play. Because online, like, there are certain games out there that are being released on places like Steam that allow you to play games at like 120 frames per second. And there are people out there that are like, oh, nah, I feel like 30 frames are fine because we like the graphics. And, like, if a game has to, like, tone down the graphics to like work on having the display of games like run well, then we should just like take that as is and just like be okay with it. And I'm sitting here thinking like, no, dude, like, because people have been playing games for like 120 frames per second, specifically PC gamers, for like years at this point. They've been playing at 120 frames since like 2012, bro. And I feel like we should at least try to match that particular level or achieve some sort of parity with people that play games on PC already, because it's been at least 10+ years since like 2012 and people still want to settle for the bottom of the barrel, and I don't like that shit, because I know that like these companies are more than capable of releasing consoles that can more or less compete with these PCs that are being like designed and customized a certain way so that they can provide optimal gameplay experiences for people that want to play games that have disposable incomes to buy PCs that can play that at that particular level. And I'm thinking like, if PCs want, if consoles want to get close to the level of PCs, they gotta at least deliver on the frame rate market at least.
Okay. And look, this is where I have. If you want to go in on all graphics and all that, that's when I feel like gaming becomes an expensive hobby.
Well, I mean, and to be honest, like
if you have a disposable income, more power to you. But I know we're years in right now, but we're like how many years in like the PS5 and the Xbox whatever, and the only notable exclusive that I can think of from the top of my head is God of War Ragnarok, but even then I could just buy the PS4 version for less, and it saves me more money than buying the actual console.
Well, in that case, I heard that feel like as long as you enjoy the experience of playing the game, then
that's what it should be about.
Because as long as you enjoy the game, like that's Sony Santa Monica's higher goal. That's why they try to tailor the game to suit certain expectations. People playing it in consoles, and as long as you get a pleasurable experience, then like they do their job pretty well.
Yeah, but this just also goes to my point, because I don't know what exclusives, because of how powerful the hardware has become. It's gotten more expensive to make these stuff. Like, remember, everyone was scrambling to get a PS5. I get that they're
guilty of falling into the hype. But I mean, I was fortunate enough to have a PlayStation Plus account, so I was given priority compared to other people that maybe. But like, I understand that that's like coming from a place of privilege, because I also was privileged enough to be able to buy a 4K television monitor that I'm able to watch this video and like edit things from. But I understand that that's not the baseline for everyone else that are watching.
Combined with the pandemic and all that, shit's gotten expensive to make, and as we've seen, they're raising the prices of games, likely to meet the demands of higher quality graphics. I don't know. It just feels like this slippery slope, and well, maybe for me, because like graphics can be good, and sometimes the game could just be simple. But like modern console gaming, I feel like we're reaching down a little bit of a slope, especially because I mean, maybe because I'm just falling out of like Sony with their bullshit lately. But the only notable exclusive that I can think of from the top of my head is God of War Ragnarok.
I mean, to be fair, let me add to that
That's
because I
only
personally don't like the idea of them charging like $120 just to provide another version of PlayStation Plus that lets you play games from the PS3, PS1 era. Because I'm like, yo, you should have like added that to like the $60 PlayStation Plus Essential line anyway. You don't have to like divide that between PlayStation
or
Essential and
or
Plus.
you could have just make them backwards compatible.
Yeah, but that's the thing, Diego. Like a lot of them are controlled by their shareholders. The shareholders are the ones that have the that can support them doing all these things. If the shareholders don't get pacified by the actions that they provide, then they're not going to be able to function well as a company. You could say that for like a lot of these other companies that are making millions on top of millions of dollars, Microsoft and Nintendo, Sega, and all of these other places that are controllers. They have to pretty much kowtow to them because if they understand that, like, if they piss these people off, they're not gonna give them money that allows them to do the things that they want themselves to, like that we hear about in media. It's a weird balance that they have to apply because they do want to make sure that like the people that are like consuming their products are happy, but at the same time the shareholders that invest large sums of money into their business ventures are able to feel satisfied with the actions that they are taking as well. That's the problem with business, unfortunately. That's like a necessary evil that shows up because if they don't have the people that are diverting large sums of money into their ventures, then they're not going to be able to make certain actions like, say, making a certain game free for people to play for a certain amount of time so that they can like divert more money into paying for resources that those investors would be able to supplement. That's why we have stuff like the Nintendo Online Switch accounts, because there are people that are paying large sums of money so that Nintendo can have the money to pay other companies to like make sure that the games that they should have paid for are being available for the people that pay for the Switch membership for free. It's like a circle. They all help each other in some way, shape, or form. I hope I'm saying it in a way that you'd be able to understand, because there are some people that feel like, oh, that's fucked up. How dare they do that? They're taking advantage of smaller companies. It's like,
No,
they're giving them tons of money. Don't you worry about that. The investors are giving them the money that they can give to other companies, so that way the games that they display for free on the website are like free for people to play. They, buy the membership.
right. Yeah, this game is just not the same, really, to be honest.
It's been changing ever since I turned into an adult personally. Like once I became like 18, I started realizing all the like political illusions that a lot of these games were doing. Like personally, like I understand that like Metal Gear Solid 4 is a game that I would definitely enjoy because I love that like pseudo philosophical political stuff. But like I understand that like some people would get turned off by playing a game like that. And in my head, I'm thinking like, yo, you totally missed the point of like Metal Gear. It's supposed to be an anti-war game about not necessarily wanting to plunge the world into war over certain avaricious that bad people like. But because people play those types of games and they miss the entire point of all that, they think, wow, Solid Snake is like James Bond and he's the coolest secret agent that ever lived. I gotta see what the hell happens next in his story. And like some people see that as like completely missed the point. They'll take that in a bad take to I don't know how you feel personally about these anti-war games that people just like.
I mean, I think we got a little off topic.
Sorry, I thought I was trying to like explain like certain similar topics in the sense that like shareholders have a large influence on how certain games turn out because There was a bunch of things that shareholders did that ended up changing the tone of Metal Gear. So that way, instead of it being geared towards telling an anti-war story about
Well,
how war is a bad problem, they suddenly started gearing it towards, hey, let's make some pachinko games using the same quality that people use in order to make these games that are supposed to cap off the series entirely. But let's use the same engine to portray these anti-war games in a similar way that would entice those anti-war people to play our pachinko game that's completely designed to make money. And yes, I'm referring to the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake that came out for Pachinko console. That, you know, could have definitely been a really good remake because it was made in the Fox engine that portrayed all the characters really good, but it's only a Pachinko. Just designed for you to put coins to a machine that prints out money. Which I feel is a missed opportunity. Personally, I'll be right back with your like thoughts on it because
I mean, I was gonna explain something else, but okay.
but like yeah. So other than that, I mean, when it comes to like Violet and Scarlet, in your opinion, how do you feel about the 3 starter Pokemon?
This is completely different from what we were originally talking about, but
Well, yeah, I mean, we were talking
wait,
about
Coco.
like Metal Gear, but like I thought you might have wanted to switch
About this. Never mind. I like Flake Coco.
because of the dinos, right?
Well, it's a crocodile,
Like,
but
you,
still.
you find yourself like slipping into a Cajun accent, all of a sudden thinking like, well, I got myself a Fue Coco. Wish I could just buy people.
I never actually thought about it that way.
I thought for a second I would have called you Sports Max. That's like a JoJo villain that shows up in part 6. Oh, dude, I forgot to ask. Are you and Lucas and Taj excited for like the concluding chapter to like Stone Ocean coming out this?
I would be excited if Netflix fucking handled it better.
Oh man, hold on. I think we might get demonetized. Potential spoiler warning. All right, bro. Tell me how the fuck you feel about Stone Ocean. What's going on?
It's just how they handled it. Like, why like cut up an entire season just to like put out a season 2 where you could just put out the full thing or release it episodically? Like 1 week you release an episode, then another you release another. What was going through their fucking heads? Like you just released all those.
That it might be like money related.
It's like I was excited to like. They did not know how to capitalize on this, especially with the hype of Golden Wind. Like they did that shit well too. They did it like how any other JoJo episode before. Like why did they just shit the bed on this one, man?
Yeah, I was like, why didn't they just release the entire arc available on Netflix? But they're like, no, we gotta.
Not even. Just release it like 1 or 2 episodes a week. Like get people talking, discussing. But no, they just put it
like the old school anime. Yeah, I hear you.
That's what JoJo benefited from, like releasing it weekly.
Because the thing is, like, I feel like okay, I get the feeling that they had a feeling that it was one of those like shows where you had to drop it in a very seasonal type of format. Like I don't know if you've seen like Squid Game, but it kind of runs in a similar matter where it's like, hey, let's drop a batch of episodes right now, wait until like next year and add another batch of episodes. I think Castlevania even ran the same way. They want to try to center or angle the show in the same way that they did for Castlevania, and that they just dropped a season of episodes on the people at a certain amount of time, like every 4 months or so. They want to try to do the same thing with this one. The last time they dropped episodes on us was like in October, no?
I don't know. I just kind of didn't follow it. Like I'm still amazed how poorly they handled it.
I'm still holding out hope that like when they eventually announce Steel Ball Run, it's not just gonna be like a little 12 episode snippet of one arc, because that's one of those like mangas that run for a long period of time, so I could see them splitting it up.
When it ended, I think we were already in high school.
Yes, ended in 2015.
Good fucking god, Jolien just like started later.
2018, I believe. No. I think Jolien started in 2012. It ran because I remember All Star Battle came out, And one of the things that it added was like a couple what if chapters from JoJolian, because it wasn't exactly a complete manga at the time, so they just added a bunch of what if situations
Yeah,
using like the first handful of characters.
I know I said it before, but I really think Araki played his too many cards like straight off the bat.
Yeah, bro,
Like
I don't believe he fucking cared at that point or another. Just
I
started
felt
writing by the seat of his pants.
oh, believe me, I feel like that too. Like it felt like he had a plan, but he then realized that he played it too early. Because by then we already know who Gappy is. So it's like for me, what am I gonna get invested into now? And like the big thing was trying to find out who he was. And that already got figured out in the first few chapters, I think. What's at stake anymore?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you got the whole fruit thing, but at that point, it's like, okay, but this is not. I guess you can argue it's like unfinished business, but it's more like the Higashita's problem than Josuke's problem. So it's like,
True.
I did like the main villain's stand ability, but at that point, I was like, okay, let's see where this goes. And when it ended, I'm like, I legit felt like nothing, I guess. It's just like, that's what we waited all this time for?
Yeah, I can see it like that.
I feel like I'm not getting it when I see some people saying that it's one of the best, and I'm like, am I reading a different manga from them?
There's some people that are like really big fans of that particular source material.
I
They
get
want to try to focus on. Allegedly, I don't know.
I get that, but like something like this makes me wonder, what am I not getting?
Yeah, that's,
Yeah,
I
and like,
only hope that for now at least they'll just add more characters to that fighting game that they're still working on characters. I mean that game already came out like years ago, but they added another version that like adds 60 frames fighting capacity and also new characters. So hoping that they a lot more characters to be there, so that way people will be happy. They got characters like Risotto playing in that game, so there are some people that are happy about it. Finally.
yeah, because I feel like that.
Fighters. Yeah.
I feel like that was something that was lacking in All Star Battle was support. It had nothing. It's like once you're done with the game, it's like, what do you do? Put up with the shitty online and that's it?
and I think that's pretty good how like they changed like the role of like characters in the game so that way it would be a little bit closer to like Eyes of Heaven. So that way like there are characters that you could like call on, like support you with like other attacks that
Adds a little more depth into the game, yeah. Though, man, I swear, I'm telling you, like, some characters just did not translate well to Eyes of Heaven. Like, I heard Kozaku Kawajiri was good in All-Star Battle, and when he entered Eyes of Heaven, he was bad.
I'd have to play the game a little bit more to understand where they're coming. Well, like, yeah, as far as I know, he's a very polarizing character.
Because, like, it's an arena fighter, and some of these characters were made with
2D fighting games in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, so someone moves, like, slightly to the left. Oh, your attack is nullified and worthless. Like, that's the sort of thing that I can see happening.
Mm-hmm. And there was just some characters who benefited from the game more, like Mariah, who is pretty much plays like her anime counterpart.
I mean, like, in your opinion, say, like, you met a person like Mariah in real life. Like, the sort of person. Because I would assume that somebody like them have, like, a very, try to find a point on it. Is he, like, the type of person that's, like, you're looking at your phone? Why aren't you looking at me? That's how you get a frying pan to the head. You gotta be careful with girls like that, DA.
She's a crazy bitch for liking Dio, I'll just say.
Like, yo, how do you feel about people that get, like, upset at other people for, like, saying stuff like that? Like, oh my god, how dare you say something bad about somebody that's obviously toxic? Oh man, you're such a bad person. We gotta cancel you on Twitter.
I call it simps.
So you feel like sense kind of trumps, like, the opinions of, like, you know, foreign people that might share, like, different opinions about you, that particular instance in other places, right?
I guess so, yeah.
So, like, have you, like ran into, like, other characters in games like, Scarlet and Violet that you think to yourself, like, hey, if they clean up a couple aspects about themselves here and there.
I mean, I like the caveman professor, so I want her to, like, punch me in the gut.
Are you talking about, what was her name? Sada?
Sada, yeah.
Yeah. Sada. I hear Sada, and I think of the British recording artist Shad, who makes like R&B music. She's like a famous like art, a lot of songs. But like, what would you say about Shada that makes her like super interesting? Because a lot of people mention that she's like takes very good care of herself. She has very toned, noticeable abs. You
Design.
could say that she's like part Ackerman or something. Because like her commitment to working on her core rivals Mikasa.
I mean, I just like her design.
Sada means past or pasada in this case when it comes
Yeah,
to like Spanish lingua. So would you feel like in that case she's like old
I would say so. Yeah.
fashioned? You think she would be the type of person to be like, back in my day, we
Yeah,
played Pokemon like this.
I can see her doing that.
In my head, I like to believe that a lot of these like Pokemon characters are like aware that Pokemon is also a video game in their universe. So when they hear about the word Pokemon, they don't freak out and think like, "Whoa, that's a new species over here. That's actually like some older games that came out, and this is just a thing that happened in the universe of the stuff that we're living through right now." Type thing. I like to think that in my head that like Sada knows about Pokemon freaking Sun and Moon because it was like a game in like her timeline or something. So she grew up playing that particular game. She's like, oh
Uh,
yeah, Pokemon. These are that thing from that game. So now that
okay,
they're doing it in real life, it becomes like a whole meta sub statement on the nature of video games.
okay, you kind of lost me.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is that like I feel like at some point Pokemon is gonna make self-referential meta human at some
Okay, you
point.
could have just said that.
Yeah, I tried to say it in a very indirect way. To like see if like you'd understand so that way you'd be able to build on it type of thing. But like I understand like if I have to make it like more blunt, like
Hmm.
yeah. Do you think that at some point Pokemon is gonna go meta and start making like self-depreciating jokes? Like,
Yeah, I
oh, you
don't.
gotta catch that thing. I wonder what other game lets you catch Pokemon like that,
Like,
right? With like a
I don't
smile and a
see
wink.
it doing that.
Because I know like Pokemon Let's Go, Eevee and Pikachu was very self-referential in the sense that like, oh,
Well, there's
you're
a
playing through
problem.
a remake of the first
I
game.
didn't play Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee.
Okay, I won't say more about the game. I just thought that
Oh,
like,
you can tell me whatever you want. I'm not gonna buy it.
okay. Well, according to some people, they felt like it was trying to dumb it down a bit because there was a mode in that made it play a lot more like Pokemon. And like you had a
Yeah,
little virtual device thingy that played like a Pokeball, and you could just throw it at Pokemon, catch them instead of going through the whole pomp and stance of like actually getting into a battle with the Pokemon. In battle, you moves from the Pokemon that you captured.
yeah, it was made for like people who just got into Pokemon through Pokemon Go.
Yep.
I didn't buy it because I didn't want to go through fucking Kanto again.
That's understandable. My favorite region is Hoenn personally. Although I guess that kind of like stems into the fact that like back then I had like a crush on like May, the character. Do they call her Haruka?
It depends on who you're asked. Like, people can be anal about like English or Japanese names. It just depends who you ask, really.
Yeah, because like if I remember correctly, there was also a big deal that was being blown about like the last couple of weeks ago that Ash finally, after 25 years, beat a Pokemon League and became a certified Pokemon. I'm surprised we didn't mention this at all, like in the last couple recordings. But like, yo, how do you feel about your boy working through getting several setbacks in his life, thinking, oh man, I'll never get to that level, and then finally realizing he can reach that particular level of aspiration. And seeing people like Jesse and James, in disguise, of course, support him through his journey, actually buy tickets to watch that championship match and see him shining in that final level of finality that people are probably assuming that the Pokemon anime.
It should have ended years ago. honestly.
Oh man, there are some people that are gonna get angry at you for saying
Good
that.
for
Like,
him.
why?
Now, can we please get an anime series that we should have gotten years ago that focuses on other protagonists?
Yes, I agree. People should know the story about Brandon. People should hear the story about Rosa and Hilda. But I think that's what Pokemon Generations is for, no?
But it shouldn't have to be. It's just a little bite of what could be, of what should have been.
I feel like people have similar gripes when it comes to like the idea of like say Dragon Ball, for example, kind of leading into Dragon Ball Z. That transition to Dragon Ball Super. But some people feel like Super doesn't take the spirit of Dragon Ball Z and transfer it accurately because they feel like it might as well just be the Goku and Vegeta show, seeing as how they handle most of the problems that happen in that particular show, completely ignoring the fact that there's an entire cast of Z fighters that could be like spotlighted upon in any way, shape, or form, but they just choose to focus on the two particular characters of Goku and Vegeta and how they over.
Wait, what was the thing again?
I was
I
talking
zoned
about
out.
earlier over the fact that, like, say a show like Dragon Ball used to focus on Goku at some point.
But
And
here's
then
the
tried
thing.
to, yeah,
The show focused way too much on Ash.
yeah.
When the thing is like we gotten other protagonists that were available and they choose not to like tell their stories, but they kept focusing on Ash. Even when at Diamond and Pearl is when I felt like they should have just replaced him after, but they didn't.
Yo, like I gotta shout out Dawn specifically because she was one of the heroines that actually showed up to the stadium to watch Ash's battle with the Pokemon trainer. I think Leon was his name.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like he fought Leon. She was one of the only heroines that showed up to support him in that match. Well, other than Jesse and James, but like it was the heroine that showed up that a lot of people were like kind of betting on like Misty and all the other characters like Haruka or May, whatever the fuck you call her, to like also cheer Ash on during that particular. They just decided not to focus on that. If I could add on that, just give me a second.
All right.
Yeah, I feel like that was an opportunity that Ash could have handled that he didn't. What you thinking about cooking? I was thinking about like making eggs myself.
I wasn't cooking. I'm just doing something here.
Oh, okay. Thinking about like taking this like off of like the laptop real quick to like scramble some eggs.